Well, today's episode is going to be a little different. As you know, since it's Thursday, we're going to review Impact Wrestling. As you know, we're still building up all the way to No Surrender. Many things could happen since then. But first things first, we'll be reviewing a particular match that took place back in December, the Baka Gaijin and Friends Volume 1. If you guys remember, this is a self produced show made by none other than Chris Brookes, who set up this little small venue to have wrestling. And it features only one match. It was already announced that he set up an account for the Baka Gaijin and Friends, where you can see this. I will give more information about that. And this one is only has one match in it, a tag team match. And of course, we have Maryland promotion known as MCW Pro Wrestling. You may recognize certain wrestlers you may see on various promotions or wherever. We have several title matches that were put on the line and several interesting storylines that were built up. But also, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events are being booked, anything new surprises, continue on with more on the WrestleCon stuff, and many others. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted WrestleZone, all things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, let's begin with this match that took place back on December 13th of 2022. This was last year. This one is part of the Baka Gaijins and Friends Volume 1, a self-produced show made by none other than Chris Brookes in Japan. Now, this particular show was basically a self-produced show at a very small venue, but they do the same kind of spirit what they do in Choco Pro and all that stuff in Ichigaya Square. So they managed to start. Chris Brookes said that he announced on his Twitter page that he started up a how do I say, an account for this particular thing. I will set up the link to that channel if you guys are interested. But I also will. It also features this particular match. Now the match that was put upon is a tag match. We have Masahiro Takanashi teaming up with Chiko Shikawa dressed up as Chris Brookes. Now Masa may have that look in his face like, "You're not Chris Brookes," but he has to focus on the task of hand because his opponent, well, one of them he's not worried. It's the other one. He faces Miya Yatsuba versus and also Mei Shiruga. So he knows that he's not dealing with an ordinary person when it comes to Mei Shiruga. But Miya Yatsuba is most likely the weakest link, the X factor of the entire thing. Now keep in mind, Miyatsuba is still a trainee, a junior wrestler, learning still the ropes. And as I mentioned time and time again, she is the first non-trainee from not trained by Emi Sakura. So that could set the whole thing. I thought the match was pretty good. Not to mention it was a tight space where they were at. I mean, you could get lost. I mean, if you saw this whole thing, you could tell. But one thing it was clear, Masahiro Takanashi was in it to win it, despite the fact that he has Chiko Shikawa dressed up like Chris Brookes. But it did not stop the fact that it was Chi who picked up the win by applying the submission move onto Miyatsuba, while Masa was dealing with Meishiro, keeping her away from Mia from ever escaping, and that's exactly what happened in that match. So, like I said, I will set up the link of that particular channel on the description below, and you guys can check it out. So, we'll go from there. I think we'll end it right here and move on with, I believe, MCW Pro Wrestling. Okay, MCW Pro Wrestling. This is a promotion based out of Maryland. I cannot recall if I ever reviewed this or watched any of their events. If I did, then good for me. If I haven't, shame on me. So this particular show took recently on the 3rd of February and was broadcast on the 11th of February. And this is their anniversary show from my understanding. I don't know how long this promotion has been around, but it seemed it was good. Our opening match is the tag team titles. We have the trade consistent of Eric Martin and Brandon Scott, along with Piotra, versus the cartel consistent of Joe Keys, someone who we've seen in Ring of Honor's dojo, and also Dante Caballero. So another wrestler that I've seen also in the Ring of Honor dojo. This match was pretty good because it showed um, how much Joe Keys and Dante are determined to retain the titles. But however, the trade, from my understanding, them with their boss trying to ensure that these titles stay in the coming to their side was a factor of this. But it did not stop them until um, the Keys apply like the O'Connor roll onto Martin in order to retain the title. So it was a pretty good one. Good opener. I liked it. Next up, we got Damascus Kane with Gia Scott taking on Miles Hawkins. Um, Seems like people were into Damascus Kane. I don't know much, but he's like a big dude. But however, um, Miles Hawkins, he tried to play it smooth as possible to try to pick up a win. But Damascus, he's a big, tough individual. You probably would have assumed by watching this he had this in the back, but no. Somehow he what's his name? Hawkins was able to pull up a roll up on Damascus to pick up the win. This was like a huge upset, but nonetheless, that's how it's gonna play out. Next up, we got the women's wrestling taking place. We have Christina Marie taking on Maddie Rinkowski. It's been a while since I've seen her. It was a pretty good match, not to mention Maddie Rinkowski, who I had been keeping an eye on for quite some time, really has shown prominence, and she picked up a really good win when she applied the scissor kick, which would make Booker T proud. And that's exactly what she did with the scissor kick. Next up, we have a non title match, which is, of course, our current Impact Wrestling X Division champion, Trey Miguel, taking on Alex Devine. I thought this match was pretty good. The qualities of X Division, which is something I think I'm mostly into. But, however, this is a non title match. But if Devine is able to defeat Trey Miguel, then he gets an opportunity. But it was Trey Miguel with his, I forgot what the move he calls every single time. It's not Meteora, but it helped them pick up the win against Alex Devine and win. However, they were viciously attacked by a guy named the Mecha, who is sick and tired of Trey Miguel. He issued a challenge. Another guy shows up who has issues towards the Mecha. He basically helped save the day. So I don't know who the Mecha is, but it seems like he wants the X Division title so bad. Now, next match we have Mike Walker, Hellfire McGuire taking on the Soldiers of Savagery, Moses and Khan. You may remember them. They were part of the Shane Taylor promotions at the final leg of Ring of Honor before it was purchased by AEW. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed that Khan and Moses hasn't missed a beat. However, as you know, Khan is succeeding outside of this promotion, and I'm sure Moses is proud of him. But it took a double DDT on Hellfire to pick up the win, and then of course Moses gave a great promo talking about how much he loves his tag team partner, how much he's killing it right now in elsewhere. So that's something a positive to hear from. Next up, tag match. We got the Sigma males, LDJ, Steven Duarte, I think this is Fuentes, taking on the Black Wall Street, Jolix and Solo. Now, it appears that this match seems that these guys have been going back and forth wherever their feud was, according to the commentators. You can tell that's what it is. However, X Factor is the stigma, the stigmas, was it? Sigma males has trainees that take the fall for them, trying to ensure that they win. That's exactly what took place for them. It helped them pick up the win. First, they took out Drolix and now Solo. So basically, they got the Black Wall Street's number on this one. Next up, we got Tim Springs versus Keikoa. Springs, who has his entourage on the side, was the X Factor that changed things. Springs trying to prove how much he's a badass and all that other stuff. But apparently, there was a moment where Kakao had his foot on the rope, but the referee did not see it. Basically, Kakao passed out, giving Tim Spriggs the win. So basically, the ref did not see it. I wouldn't be surprised if Kakao will confront Tim Spriggs once and for all for another shot of him. Next up, we got the MCW Women's Championship. We have Raylin taking on Becca. Now, Raylin was a previous champion, now tried to regain the title. But however, Becca made it clear that this is her era, that she's going to run the entire thing. I thought it was a pretty good match, how Becca was trying to determine that this is her time now, and what she did when she applied the 450 splash in order to retain the title. Now, our main event is the MCW Heavyweight Championship. We got Robert Loke taking on Ken Dixon. This match, it went out of control. Referee was knocked out. Then, of course, the trade shows up to give him a helping hand and this and that. And then all of a sudden, we get these stooges who are getting themselves involved. We don't know what the hell has been going on. But we should have known better that Robert Loke would do whatever it takes to get this title. And that's exactly what he did until one of these stooges low-blowed Ken Dixon, giving Robert Loke the title. However, apparently Damascus Kane, who has a bounty on Ken Dixon, decided to back away from the deal with Robert Loke, and Robert Loke ran like a coward, knowing that he doesn't want to stick around. So I thought it was pretty interesting how this one. The show was good, not to mention. I'm not sure it's one of the best, but I still need to watch more of these stuff. So we'll see what happens down the line with this, and from now we'll just end it right here. Move on with our final review, Impact Wrestling. Okay, Impact Wrestling. As you know, we are getting closer and closer to No Surrender. We have a preview match taking place. We have Chris Bay along with Ace Austin taking on Kushida, being accompanied by his Time Machine teammates, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabian. As you know, Bay and Austin will be teaming up with Kenta at No Surrender. I thought this match was a great opener. I really, really loved it. The qualities of X Division style, which is something I'm a big fan of Impact Wrestling when they were known as TNA at the time. Pretty good. There was no outside interference coming from neither side, but it was a pretty good, solid, straight match until Kushida was like somehow tried to apply like a hoverboard lock, arm lock, but however it turned into a pinfall, helping him win the match. But now we're going to see how ready they're going to be with this momentum heading to No Surrender. Now, we do see a situation taking place. Santino Marella decided to have a little sit down with both Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer. Now, Bully Ray being the biggest bitch on the planet, he's telling Tommy Dreamer to leave Impact Wrestling. Now, Tommy Dreamer doesn't want nothing to do with, doesn't want that, but Bully feels he has to. He has nothing left for him in Impact Wrestling. But things are not going well because they're trying to set this whole thing up. But Bully Ray doesn't want to hear it. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match is a qualifying match for the 4-way #1 contendership that takes place in No Surrender. We have Steve Maclin versus Rhino. Now, Maclin, as you know, he's been climbing the ladder trying to prove what does it need to take for him to get a shot of the Impact Wrestling World title. So he was put in this match, no big deal, but he has to go through the War Machine, Rhino. Now, there were moments where you saw that Rhino and Maclin seems like they could try to put them away until all of a sudden Maclin applied the wake-up call onto Rhino to pick up the win. I don't know if that was a direct message to Heath, but that's exactly what happened. Now, we do get a little interesting interview with Masha Slamovich. Now, keep in mind, Bully Ray has been playing these stupid mind games with Mickie James, declaring that Mickie James is not paying attention to Masha Slamovich, and that's exactly what she said. But she did tell her that she wants her to be taking a front row seat when she challenges Alicia. So that's going to take place a little later. Next up, we got Johnny Swinger along with Zicky Dice taking on Barry Horowitz. I thought this match was more like trying to show, okay, Johnny Swinger tried to win the match, but however, the match did not go well for Swinger's way. He had a surprise visit from none other than the Demon himself, costing the match. I thought it was really funny, but that's what took place. Now, in the last couple of weeks, we have seen Moose, who's been unhinged towards Joe Hendricks, so he's trying to say that he's going to teach him a lesson. Now, it jumped in where he goes to the parking lot looking for Joe Hendry. He found a car that he claimed it was his. It turned out it was Santino Marella's car. But Santino decided to lay down the law and put both of them in a match for the digital media title in a .com match. And I don't know what Moose was thinking, but at least he gets a title shot. That's the one thing that matters. But the way he did it, I don't know if he probably thought, can't believe that worked, but he didn't do that. I think he wanted to humiliate Joe Hendricks. So Hendry, but I thought it was just too funny. Now, our next match is another qualifying match for the four-way for the #1 contendership. We have Eddie Edwards taking on, oh, baby, I got kids. That's right, Heath. I thought this match was going to go pretty well because Eddie Edwards, as you know, he's not been in a good place. He's been dealing with the attack of his past, more specifically with PCO. And somehow that worked out well for Heath because PCO, the lights turned off with Thunderstorm, causing the distraction, but he gave enough time for Heath to apply the wake-up call, giving the win. But of course, Eddie Edwards, as you know, he's still trying to understand what happened, but he told him, look behind you, man. And there was PCO, and it just went down that way. Now, as you know, PCO would definitely like to have a match against him, but Eddie Edwards would do whatever it takes to avoid him at any cost, since he doesn't want nothing to do with them whatsoever. Now, a lot of questions are being asked towards Sami Callihan, as you know, since he requested that he wants to join the design. However, some questions were raised on the eyes of the design about what Frankie Kazarian said. Is this a ploy? What was his purpose to join the design? I think that sets it up, but they'll find out this coming Thursday on the upcoming Impact Wrestling show, so things will make more clear from them. Now, Father James Mitchell, as you know, made his return last week to Impact, introducing the Hex. It appears that Rosemary did not pay tribute to her father, James Mitchell's boss, so they put a Hex on them and that sort of thing. So that's the reason they're here, is to take those titles and pay tribute to Rosemary's dad. And I'm going to presume that Rosemary's dad is the devil. That's what I think. Next thing we see is Mickie James heading to, of course, the commentary, getting a front row seat to what Masha Slamovich does to Alicia. You can guess this match in her favor, but once again, Masha has Mickie James in her sight, so that tells it a lot. So Bully Ray might have created something, but that's how it works. Now, Crazy Steve, as you know, he's been a thorn on the side of of Trey Miguel. He wants to put him in a Monster Balls match, and I think that's going to be very interesting. I don't know if Trey's ever been in one, but good luck. So we'll see. Now our main event is Kenny King versus Rich Swann. I thought this match was pretty good because it showed a lot of agility, a lot of things, but it was Rich Swann that picked up the win with the pinfall. However, Kenny King, being a sore loser that he is, attacks him. Josh Alexander tried to help, but apparently Rich Swann misfired and super kicked Alexander. But I don't know how this is going to play out, but I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for Impact Wrestling. I believe it's time for news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So this is what we have so far, starting with the GCW stuff. Now, as you know, there's going to be a 2-day show in St. Louis and Evansville, Indiana, on the 15th and 16th of April. Now, however, it's already been announced for 4 wrestlers that will participate in those 2 events. We have Japanese wrestler Shigehiro Irie taking place. Then we have the bounty hunter Brian Keith, Matt Tremont, and then of course the American Wolf Davey Richards. So all 4 of these competitors will be involved in both shows in St. Louis on the 15th of April and Evansville, Indiana on the 16th of April. Now, before all that, we do have for the Ransom event that takes place on the 5th of March, the GCW Extreme Championship will be put on the line between Joey Janela, our current champion, taking on Brandon Kirk. I think this is going to be one heck of a match to enjoy. Now, for the Bloodsport event that takes place on the GCW Collective on the 30th, it's announced that the undefeated Josh Barnett will be participating. Don't know who his opponent's going to be in, but I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Now, WrestleCon has announced 2 things. Well, they announced for 2 more participations for guests to be there. We have none other than Absolute Ricky Starks will be there, and of course, Brandy Rhodes will be there as well. However, another match has been announced for their Super Show that's going to take place on the 30th of March. That's going to be Mike Bailey versus Shigeru Irie. Now, these 2 guys know each other. During the 5-year gap when Mike Bailey was unable to be here in the States, he was in DDT. I wouldn't be surprised if they bump into each other. Now, 2 developments have taken place for Wrestling Revolver for Thursday that takes place on the 6th of April. Miyu Yamashita will be, as I mentioned, Miyu Yamashita will be making her debut, and her opponent will be none other than Allie Katch. But also another announcement was made that Brian Keith will be making his Wrestling Revolver debut. Now, speaking of Miyu Yamashita, it was announced that right after WrestleMania weekend, as you know, Miyu Yamashita will be staying here in the States for the next 3 months, from April all the way to June. However, there's been new information that came across that, as you know, by March 18th, Miyu Yamashita and Maki Ito will participate in the tag team match against the Wasteland Party War. If they win the Princess Tag Team titles, then they will be defending those belts here in the States. However, Miyu Yamashita will have a flexible schedule, not only because she may have to go back to Japan, but however, she may have to travel to the UK since she is the current EVE champion. So that's pretty much what I've been hearing. So that's pretty much it for that. Now, for all you Yoshi wrestling fans out there, you may remember this person, Act Yasukawa, who is one of the original leaders of Oedo Tai, who was involved in that shoot fight back in 2010 when she got into it with Yoshiko. It was announced that she will be here in the States, more specifically in LA, for Pandemonium Pro Wrestling on the 29th of March. This will be her debut match, and she'll be, of course, teaming up with this person named Aspen Rose. I don't know who she is, but she also will go by another name, Yuto or Yuko Yasukawa. So if you guys are in LA, if you want to meet her, she'll be there. I mean, I would like to meet her because she has a unique stuff that she does now out since after she was no longer allowed to wrestle. But she will be wrestling once in a while, depending if her injuries are not bad. Now, interesting developments. West Coast Pro has announced for the Queen of the Indies participation, we have Dulce Tormenta. That's going to be an interesting person to be in. Now, GLEAT has announced for 2 self-produced shows coming from none other than the Black Generation International, BJA, and they're calling their shows known as Puro Negro, which means pure black. 2 shows have been announced that will be produced for them. One will be on the 12th of April in Corkin Hall, and then, of course, the 16th in Shinkiba. Now, they announced for wrestlers who will be participating from the Black Generation, mostly coming from Mexico. We have Flamita, El Bendito, La Menta, Action Jackson, and Emperado Aztec. So these guys will be participating in both shows. I'm sure we got the other members as well. Now, finally, we do have, of course, a next participation for the All-Star Junior 2023 Festival. It's announced that the founder of Pro Wrestling Bazaar, Asami Kodaka, will be involved in this one, will participate. So, yeah, I'm really excited for that. So, hopefully, there's more names involving for this, and we'll just leave it as that. So, for now, we'll just end it right here, and we just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we got more AEW Rampage and possibly NXT Level Up. I still haven't seen day 10 of Stardom. And of course, we got the final length of the Triangle Derby involved with that. I don't know when I'll see that. But I'll keep it apprised for everyone what's been going on. But also, I will be releasing, before I release the next episode, I will be also releasing another Unagi Sayaka watch video where we have, of course, more developments going on with Unagi Sayaka for all you fans out there, keeping up with her matches and other things I'm definitely going to be talking about. I think that's pretty much it for now. I believe I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.